So every photographer tends to start at the same place. Especially when it comes to editing, you open up Lightroom, you start editing, and you end up with like super neon greens and really, really bright skin tones, oranges, really saturated, really intense, and it just doesn't look the best, even though you think at that time that it's like super, super amazing. It's just, okay, side note, I think I'm literally wearing the exact same shirt that I've worn for the past 3 videos. And it's totally coincidental because I'm doing these videos like weeks, different times, different days. And I swear to God, I have more shirts. I just happen to like this one. I guess I need to go shopping or something. I hate shopping. Oh God, do I hate shopping. I'm sorry, YouTube. I know there's some people out there that are gonna be like, just get to the video, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I know, I'm getting to the video. So what are we doing in this video? Today we are going over Lightroom's biggest beginner mistakes. That way you can skip the awkward phase of school and get straight to editing like a badass. Let's get into it. My name is Will and welcome back to the channel. Now, mistake number 1 is probably the most common and probably one that you've heard many, many times. I'm going to show you a photo that I took and it is edited. So I'm going to show you this photo right here. And I want you to see if you can tell me what's wrong with the photo. Now, I will immediately say pretty much everything is wrong with this photo because when you first start editing, everything is so exciting. You push all the sliders to their limits, you saturate the crap out of things, you really go to town on the photo. And while that is all well and good and fun, it just makes an unrealistic photo. And let's be real, it takes some time to kind of come down from that high of now editing. However, to this day, I see people doing that. And I see them doing it for photo shoots with clients. I see them doing it for their own photos. I see them doing it all the time. And you know what? Honestly, if they like it, then that's okay. But if you want a balanced photo that looks really good, that will take you a long way in the long run, here are some of the tips that you should know not to do, or at least do subtly. And the first one is definitely and truly oversaturating your photo. And on that photo that I showed you, that is definitely one of them. So here is a photo that I took when I was out in Utah this past weekend. And as you can see, it's just a basic edit. There's nothing fancy. Like here's the before, here's the after. I think all I did was check the white balance, and actually it probably needs to be adjusted a little bit. But let's say you just got this photo. The first thing you're probably gonna do is add a lot of contrast. So you're just gonna boom, done. And immediately you're like, oh my God, it's so intense. It looks amazing. I love it. Because it's different, because it's unique, because it pops off the screen. And the next thing you're gonna do, which is mistake number 1, is play rocket ships with the saturation and vibrance slider. So you're probably gonna do something like this. Take the vibrance slider, you're gonna go, ooh, what does this do? Ew, that looks boring. Ooh, colors, I like colors. And then you're gonna do the saturation, you'll be like, oh, that looks boring. Ooh, colors, I like colors. But look at this, look at the oranges. The oranges are so unnatural. The greens are so unnatural. And even the blues in the sky are so unnatural. The thing is though, it looks super freaking exciting when you first do it. And you're like, oh my God, it looks so pretty. I freaking love my photos. They're so amazing. They look so much better than the raw image. Because you're not used to raw images. You're used to what you think the photo should look like. So be careful with the saturation sliders, and all you're gonna wanna do is just dull it down. Not saying you can't add vibrance or add saturation to your photos, but don't go over the top. So for example, +10, +12 looks so much more natural and the way it should. Okay, good. That's number 1. Okay, number 2, this is a fun one as well, that you can push a little bit over the top. And here is an example of a photo that I got really, really excited about. This is edited. Now, this photo looks nothing like this as the raw, and I'm gonna see if I can find it, and if I can, I will throw it up here, but it's so long ago, I don't know where the raw is. But this photo specifically, I literally just pulled the dehaze slider all the way to 100. And when I first saw it, I was like, holy shit, this is innovative, this is amazing, this is the new hotness. Everyone's gonna be doing this. No one did that. No one did it at all. So number 2 mistake is cranking up the texture, clarity, or dehaze slider too much, where it might be very, very inviting to do that because it creates such an intense image. So here we go. So if I crank up the clarity, right? Oh, that looks cool. It's rustic, it's gritty, it's yowza. No, it's not. All right, let's do the texture. Let's give it a lot of texture. Whoa, look how clear and sharp that is. Look at that, the rock looks alive in the image. No, it doesn't. And finally, the dehaze slider. It's dramatic. It gives you all the, oh, man, I want to take that and just post it everywhere. No, no, you don't. No, you don't. These sliders are extremely intense and extremely powerful to use. In these particular sliders, actually in editing in general, moderation is key. Don't overdo it, don't underdo it. Yes, you can underdo it. So for this one, dehaze, you're going to add just a little bit, okay? Just to cut through a little bit of the haze and get some of the saturation and the colors back, right? Clarity, you can up it a little bit. This photo is of a rustic sprinkler and a rock mesa out in Utah. So it makes sense that it's a little gritty, that it's a little harsh. Now, obviously you do this, I mean, you might be able to get away with it if it's your style, but don't let it be your style. So we're gonna drop this down to about 12, and that just gives it a little bit more grit. Now with the texture slider, to be completely honest, I never use the texture slider as a global adjustment. Everything on this basic panel affects the entire image, making it a global adjustment. So with the texture slider, I use it for places that I want to have more texture to pull your eye to. So I would use this with a mask. Maybe take a brush and paint the mesa here, right? And this is where I'm going to add texture. Now, obviously, I'm going to get the spokes of the wheel, and that's okay. But this is where I would simply add the texture to give you that little bit of more, well, texture on the rock. So that is how I would use that, and that gives a subtle but effective change to the image that doesn't overpower you. Now, before we keep going, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are wanting to really take your editing to the next level, if you're serious about advancing your editing skills above just avoiding these minor beginner mistakes, I have put everything that I know into my Lightroom Master of Editing course. This course is a step-by-step guide. It goes over all of the panels, the editing panels in Lightroom. It has full edits, and it has some special things that other courses don't, that are pretty freaking exciting, including a lot of free resources and presets and all kinds of fun stuff, plus most of the raws to edit along with and put your own style too. That way you can get consistent styles, edit exactly how you want, edit faster, and in general just have that professional look on all of your images. So if you're interested, I will link it in the description below. Check it out and I'll see you there. And number 3, and this is where people kind of go a little bit, again, above and beyond, and that's crushing your blacks and really blowing out your highlights. Images deserve to be seen. So if you come up to this panel and you say, ooh, black slider, bang, ooh, white slider, bang, ooh, shadows, bang, ooh, highlights, bang. Gross. No bang. No bang at all. No one's getting banged for that. That's disgusting. Ooh, that was a good one. What you want to do is, again, moderation. You want to recover all of your information in your image so you can make that image flow and make sense to the viewer. If you go too aggressive, then someone looking at it is going to feel, well, turned off by the image, even if they don't know exactly why. They're just going to look at it and be like, ew, I don't like that. So in this case, what you're going to want to do, now let me just preface this really quick. Everyone has their own style, and you will find your own style. These are good guidelines, but by all means are they not laws to follow. I am a believer in moderation, in editing true to color, and putting a style on it that suits the scene. Not all scenes fit every different picture. So for me, what I would do, lower the highlights, go about -60, up the shadows, get some of those details back. And for whites, I'm gonna push and hold Alt or Option, and I'm gonna click and I'm gonna drag it till I see pure white. For the blacks, same thing. I'm gonna drag until I see black. And this is gonna give me a proper dynamic range for this photo. Now, by doing that, I have absolutely increased the exposure, and I've also increased the saturation for the image. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna come down to saturation, dull it down a little, and we're only using the basic panel here. I'm not even going into the color mixer. This is just using the basic panel, and I'm gonna go ahead and darken it down, and I'll probably lower the contrast quite a bit, because that was really intense already. Good, so there we go. That's looking a little bit better. But when you overdo any of these sliders, you really push the image too far and make it unappealing to a viewer. Number 4 is your white balance. Now you can do a white balance edit to do a style. Like you can make an image really warm when it was cool. You can make an image cool when it was warm. You can add greenish tint to make it more vintagey, and you can add magenta to make it look a little bit more warm and ooey gooey feely. It's a terrible example of magenta. I got all the other 3 really nice, but this one, that was a terrible example. Anyways, you can use white balance to add a style. However, to make it easy for you, thanks, motorcycle. However, to make it easy for you to start, you want to balance your photo first. Bring back the details, bring back the highlights, bring up the shadows, and set the white balance properly. Then, as you edit your photo, you can then add that style, but at least you have the base to start. So for example, let's say this image, I'm like, ooh, white balance, let's make it super warm and super green. Yeah, that looks amazing. Again, no, it doesn't. So what can you do to set your proper white balance? Well, the first thing you can do is you can go up to custom and you can pick what the scene was. For example, this is a little bit cloudy. So we can click cloudy and it should adjust it. Now, in my opinion, that looks a little bit too much magenta, so I could just dull down the tint to the green and eyeball it to make it right. The other thing you can do is use this little eyedropper, press W on the keyboard, and then you can find a neutral color to select to set your proper white balance. To make sure you do get proper white balance, look at the box here at the bottom and you'll see percentages. This I was mentioned in my last video where I talked about getting proper whites in your wedding dress. So this here, 97, 97, 94, you want those 3 numbers to be within 5 to 10%. The closer, the better. So if we click that, that is pretty true white, and now we have a pretty perfect white balance to start from. Again, by eyeballing it, I think it looks a little bit too much magenta in the sky, so I would just lower this down just a little bit to get it to where I think it looks amazing. Or you could truly just trust Lightroom and go from there. But start with the proper white balance and then add to your edit to get the image to where you want it to look. The next one is presets. A lot of people who start editing are very reliant on adding presets. They buy their favorite presets. They're following someone on Instagram or YouTube or whatnot, and they're like, ooh, this guy has great images. They see the way his images come out, and they buy those person's presets, and then they apply them to their photos and wonder why they don't look the same. Presets are generally designed for the photos that they are used on. So a light and airy preset would be really good for light and airy photos. A moody preset is good for cloudy or moody photos, so on and so forth. Presets are for specific photos. That doesn't mean you can't use them for other photos, it just means you have to tweak them. So if you think, ooh, I bought 10 presets and I'm gonna use them on all my photos, and then you apply them, and then you're like, why the F don't these presets work on my photos? Because the exposure, the setting, the scene, the colors, something is different. So don't get reliant on presets. So if we take this photo here and we just simply slap on this preset here, well, that looks fantastic. Well done, Will. I have great presets. Check out my presets on my website. Plug. My Exploring Photography 2020 presets, still looking good. Let's get a crazy preset. So I have these Son of a Beach presets, which are great for the beach, right? So let's put this preset on here. Okay, that still looks pretty good. Few tweaks, but not too bad. All right, we're not doing well here. All right, let's just, cool guys, this is a terrible example. Great example for my presets, but terrible example for what I'm trying to show you. Okay, here we go, good. Let's say I put this preset on this one and I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's done. No, it's not done, it looks like crap. we're gonna have to tweak it or just not use this preset altogether. However, the point is, don't assume that a preset, even though it might on some of the photos, work fluidly through all of your photos without tweaking them or adjusting the edits as a whole. So there you have it. That is the most common Lightroom beginner mistakes and how to avoid them and fix them. So hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I know that I'm personally guilty of pretty much every single mistake that I just mentioned. Which ones have you been guilty of? If not all of them, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, here are 2 videos that I think you'll greatly enjoy. Don't forget to check out my Lightroom course in the description of this video. And so, I'll see you in the next video.